I found out. My husband's been sending another woman money after we lost our child. So, I don't even know where to start. But here I am, spilling everything, because my heart feels like it's been ripped out of my chest. Y'all ever feel like life just keeps kicking you when you're down? Like you can't catch a break even if you beg for it? 2 years ago, I lost my baby boy, and I swear I haven't been the same since. You don't know what that type of pain is until it grabs you and just won't let go. My husband, who I thought was going through the same hurt as me, started pulling away around the same time. At first I thought it was grief. I mean, everyone deals with it differently, right? I would cry for hours and he'd just get real quiet. He'd sit on the edge of the bed, staring out the window like he was lost somewhere. I thought we were just broken, together. Fast forward to last week. I'm going through my emails one night because I keep getting these weird bank notifications. Something about a transfer being approved. I ignore them at first, but then my gut tells me to check it. I open it up and see his name. My husband, sending money to some woman. Every single month, for almost a year. I can't even describe how my heart just sank. Who was she? Why was he sending her money? The moment I saw it, I swear my chest tightened, and I couldn't breathe. I had to confront him, but my body was shaking so bad I didn't know if I could do it. I knew what this was, but I kept lying to myself, trying to convince myself that maybe, just maybe, there was some other explanation. But I was wrong. I brought it up the next morning, sat him down at the table with the email open on my phone, and I said, "Who is she?" He didn't even pretend to be confused. He just looked down, like he knew this was coming eventually. He said her name. I don't even want to say it here because it makes me sick, and admitted everything. He's been seeing her. I could barely hear him over the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. But the part that hurt the most wasn't even that he cheated. It's that he's been sending her money. While we've been drowning in medical bills from our son, our baby, and barely keeping it together, this man, my husband, was sending this woman hundreds of dollars every month. "Why?" I whispered. That's all I could say. Why her? Why now? Why me? His answer. "She was there for me when you couldn't be." I swear, hearing that was like being stabbed in the chest. When I couldn't be there for him. We lost our child together. I was broken, and he found comfort in another woman. I thought we were broken together, but I guess he found a way to fix himself while I was still drowning. I don't know what to do, y'all. I don't even know where to start. How do you come back from something like this? How do you move forward knowing that while you were grieving, while you were trying to keep your family together, he was out here building something with someone else? I'm sitting here in this house, the one we bought with dreams of raising our son in it. And it feels like the walls are closing in on me. I can't breathe in this space anymore. I can't look at him without feeling like a fool. He says he's sorry, but sorry doesn't bring back our son. Sorry doesn't erase the emails I found. Sorry doesn't change the fact that he wasn't here for me when I needed him the most. I don't know what hurts more, the affair or the fact that I feel like I've been grieving alone this whole time. So now I'm stuck, and I honestly don't know what to do. Do I leave? Do I stay and try to forgive? Is forgiveness even possible in a situation like this? I guess I'm asking, what would you do? Part 2. I confronted her. It's been a few days since I posted that first story. And y'all, thank you. I didn't expect so many people to respond, but it helped. I felt seen, for once. And after reading all your advice, I realized I couldn't sit in this pain without doing something. I needed answers. After confronting my husband, he told me everything, or at least I thought he did. Her name kept circling my mind like poison. I had to know who she was, what she had that made him forget our pain, and why he was sending her money. But the worst part was, I couldn't shake the feeling that I still didn't know the whole truth. I told him he needed to leave the house for a while. I needed space, but I didn't want to sit in that empty silence and feel his guilt hanging in the air. So, I told him to stay with a friend, and for once, he didn't argue. He packed a bag, gave me this pathetic look like I should feel sorry for him, and left. That night, I couldn't sleep. It was like a war was going on inside me. I kept picturing him with her, wondering what they'd talk about, how long this had been going on before I noticed those bank transfers. I needed to hear it from her. I didn't know why, but I had to. Maybe I was hoping she'd say something that'd make sense of all this. So I did something I thought I'd never do. I called her. It took me a while to find her number, but eventually I did. I knew the area she lived in from the transfers, and after some digging, I found her social media. Seeing her picture for the first time made my stomach twist. She was pretty, I won't lie. Younger than me. A little softer around the edges, like she didn't have the weight of the world on her shoulders. But it wasn't her looks that hit me. It was the smile. She looked happy, carefree, and I couldn't help but wonder if that's what he was chasing. A woman who didn't carry the scars I did. When I called, I didn't expect her to pick up, but she did. Her voice was light, casual, like she wasn't expecting her world to come crashing down in a few seconds. I asked her if she knew who I was. There was silence on the other end for a moment before she said, "I think I do." My hands were shaking, but I tried to keep my voice calm. "I'm his wife," I said, "and I need to know the truth." There was a pause, long enough for my heart to drop. Then she started talking. She told me how they met, how he reached out to her when he was struggling with losing our son. She said she never meant to hurt me, like that somehow made any of this better. But then, as she kept talking, it became clear this wasn't just about some emotional affair. She was pregnant. Y'all, I can't even describe how I felt in that moment. My body went numb. My chest felt like it was collapsing in on itself. I just sat there, gripping the phone, trying to breathe, trying to process what she'd just said. Pregnant? My husband had been seeing her, sending her money, and now she was carrying his child? She kept talking, saying how he promised to support her, how he told her about our loss and how broken he was. But I couldn't hear the rest. I just hung up. I couldn't listen anymore. I sat in the kitchen, staring at the phone, feeling like my entire world had just shattered into a million pieces. I thought losing my son was the worst pain I'd ever feel. But this was a whole new kind of agony. He wasn't just unfaithful. He had started a whole new life behind my back. A life that should have been ours. But instead, he gave it to her. I called him after that. I didn't care that it was the middle of the night. He picked up after a few rings, and before he could say anything, I asked him straight up, "Is she pregnant?" There was this long silence, and I knew. He didn't have to say a word, but then he did. "Yes," he whispered, and I swear it felt like my soul left my body. I lost it. I screamed at him, cursed him, told him he was a monster for what he did to me, to us, to our son. He kept trying to explain, but nothing he could say would ever fix this. Nothing could bring back the trust, the love, the future I thought we had. He tried to apologize, said he didn't know how to handle the grief and made mistakes. But this wasn't a mistake. This was a choice he made every single day for months. He chose her. And now there's a baby involved. A baby that wasn't mine. A baby that should have been ours. I hung up on him again and blocked his number. I couldn't handle hearing his voice anymore. So now, I'm sitting here, in this quiet house, wondering what the hell I'm supposed to do. I feel like I'm stuck in a nightmare I can't wake up from. Part of me wants to burn everything down and never look back. The other part of me is too broken to even move. How do you come back from this? Do I try to forgive him? Can I even live with the idea of him having a child with someone else? How do I deal with the fact that while I was mourning the loss of our son, he was out here building a new family behind my back? I don't know what to do, y'all. I'm lost. If you were me, what would you do? Update. It's been a week since I last posted, and I've been trying to make sense of everything. My life feels like it's split into two parts. The life I thought I had, and the one I'm living now. I thought I had more time to figure it out, to maybe salvage something from the wreckage. But life doesn't give you that kind of luxury when everything's falling apart. After I found out about her pregnancy, I shut down. I couldn't think, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All I could do was replay every moment from the past few years, looking for signs I missed, trying to figure out how we got here. But no matter how much I tried to make sense of it, I kept coming back to the same question. How could he do this to me? To us? I spent the last few days trying to avoid him, but deep down, I knew that wasn't going to fix anything. I had to face it. I had to face him. So I agreed to meet. He came back to the house, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't our home anymore. It was just a place where too much hurt had happened. When he walked through the door, he looked different. Smaller, almost. I used to see him as my rock, the person who was supposed to stand beside me through everything. But now all I could see was a man who had let me down in the worst possible way. We sat down at the table, and for the first time since this all started, I didn't feel the need to scream. I didn't even have the energy for it. I was just tired. Tired of the lies. Tired of the tears. Tired of pretending that we could ever go back to what we were. "I'm sorry," he said again, like those two words could somehow undo everything. "I never meant for this to happen. I was lost, and she was there." I stopped him. "I don't want to hear excuses anymore," I said, my voice calm but firm. "I just need to know the truth. Do you love her?" He looked down, and in that moment, I knew. I didn't need him to say it out loud. It was all over his face. Maybe he didn't love her in the same way he loved me, but he cared about her enough to destroy everything we had, enough to create a child with her, and that was all I needed to know. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered, feeling the weight of those words sink in. Saying them out loud made it real. There was no going back. He didn't fight me. Maybe he expected it, or maybe he felt like he didn't deserve to. Either way, he just nodded, and in that moment, I felt a strange sense of relief. Not happiness, not peace, but release. Like I was finally letting go of something I'd been holding on to for far too long. We talked about the practical things, the house, our finances, how we'd handle the separation. It felt so cold, so businesslike, compared to the life we used to dream about. But that was the reality now. There wasn't any passion left, no anger, no love. Just two people who had lost too much to ever find their way back to each other. As we wrapped up, he asked if I'd ever be able to forgive him. And honestly, I didn't know how to answer that. Forgiveness feels like such a distant concept when the hurt is still so fresh. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him, but I do know that holding on to this pain will only break me even more. So maybe one day, I'll find it in myself to let go of that anger. But right now, all I can do is take it one day at a time. Before he left, he stood in the doorway for a moment, like he was waiting for something. Maybe he thought I'd change my mind. Maybe he was hoping I'd ask him to stay. But I didn't. I just watched him walk out the door, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't cry. So that's it. He's gone. I'm here, in this house, alone with my thoughts and my broken heart. I wish I could say I feel stronger, that I've moved past it and I'm ready to start fresh. But that's not the truth. The truth is, I'm still grieving. Not just for my son, but for the life I thought I had. For the marriage I thought was strong enough to survive anything. It's not easy. I don't know what comes next. Some days it feels like I'm barely holding it together. Other days, I can almost see a future where this pain doesn't define me anymore. But for now, I'm just trying to heal. I guess the hardest part of all this is knowing that even though I made the decision to walk away, part of me will always wonder, what if? What if I had fought harder? What if I had tried to forgive him? What if we could have somehow found our way back to each other? But then I remind myself of the truth. Some things can't be fixed. Some betrayals are too deep to come back from. And as much as I wanted to save our marriage, I deserve more than being someone's second choice. I deserve to heal, to find peace, to move on. So now, I'm asking you all one final question. If you were in my shoes, would you have walked away, or would you have stayed and tried to rebuild? Could you ever forgive someone who broke your trust this way?